wanna be free.
Feeling all rock and roll today. Hi there, my name is Lilith and I am the creator, artist, designer, gremlin, hybrid person behind fashion art label Zigentala based in Melbourne. If you've seen most of my videos, I'm sure you probably find a correlation between music and art. They are my two loves. I have married them together and I try to create art based off of music, influenced or inspired by musicians, pop culture figures, bands, lyrics, just anything. So today I'm going to be talking to you about the 5 pieces I have done so far that has been influenced by a musical group or band. So these pieces span all the way back in 2017 to the last custom that I just finished. So yeah, over the space of like 2.5 years, I've been consistently creating works of art that have been influenced by bands, my favorite bands, other people's favorite bands, commissions, customs, originals, just anything like that. So I'm just gonna go about this video in chronological order, starting from the first band jacket or band piece that I did. That first one is my Tame Impala inspired jacket, which is here. Before I sort of started getting paid for my work, I did go through a little period of time where I was experimenting and just trying out different styles and different looks. And this jacket here was actually one of the jackets that was produced during that time. On the back here I painted the name of one of my favorite tracks, The Less I Know The Better. It came from their album Currents, which was released I think a couple of years, if not a year before. I think it was 2016 Currents was released. No, I stand corrected, 2015. I basically chose this song because of personal, I guess it resonated with me personally during that time of my life. I mean, I'm a fan of psychedelic music in general, so Tame Impala hit the spot, especially with this album. The Less I Know The Better was definitely a musical influence, but also visual influence for me. I mean, a lot of these bands have influenced me musically and visually, so I mean, I think that just goes without saying. But yeah, the Less I Know The Better, the music video that they did, just absolutely loved it. I think it's during the first verse, there's this whole like paint pouring drip scene where there's all of this paint dripping on a female body, this whole sort of colorful visual sequence, and that just blew my mind. So I decided that it would be one of the jackets that I would create during that time. I did try to imitate the paint pouring visual effect. Yeah, so I've got this, and then we also have some little painty drips just down one of the sleeves. That I think that was probably the first time I actually did try to do a sort of sleeve detail on a jacket. Yeah, so a mix of mattes and metallics, obviously very colourful and psychedelic, wanted big, bright, contrasting colours. And I did this on a thrifted denim jacket. As you can see, we've got the Sherpa collar on here, so it sort of really fits in with the whole sort of 70s psychedelic era, Woodstock sort of style. So yeah, that's my first jacket, Tame Impala, The Less I Know The Better. So, second jacket that I did was a Black Sabbath jacket, and that was for my boyfriend at the time. Unfortunately, I don't have the jacket here with me because it was a gift for my ex, so my ex has it, and like I can't really get the jacket from him. I mean, like I could call him. Nah.
Absolutely not.
I did have a reference picture that I looked at for this jacket, There's basically just a picture of the Black Sabbath group. So you've obviously just got Ozzy, Geezer, Iommi, and what's his name? Bill Ward. And I sort of depicted them in a tritone, I think more like a quad tone type high contrast painting. And funnily enough, it was my ex's birthday yesterday, so funnily enough I would have completed that 3 years ago. Wow. Amazing. But yeah, I did this Black Sabbath jacket for him. Our relationship was, the beginning of our relationship was very much revolved around a lot of heavy metal bands, Black Sabbath. I painted that for him. He had a thrifted, I think it was a Levi's vintage denim jacket, quite blue, which sort of contrasted with the yellows and the reds really well. But overall I was very impressed with that jacket that I painted, especially knowing that I did it so early on in my career. For the way that my boyfriend dressed at the time, he was a very sort of classic style guy, like black jeans, white t-shirt, just combed back hair. So I think this jacket was sort of a little bit out of the realms of what he would usually wear. A lot of this stuff is very crazy and would be suited more to wearing at festivals and gigs rather than everyday life. So that was one thing that I did see on the Black Sabbath jacket, was that I didn't mute many of the colors. It was the yellow and the red were just the true sort of colors that I got in paints that I buy. So they were very bright, and I think it might have been a little bit too bright for him, but all in all it was a really nice gift, and it also worked as a really nice decor. He hung it up in his room and it looked pretty cool. So yeah, moving on. So the next jacket I painted would have been a year after, and that was a follow-up from the Black Sabbath jacket. As someone saw it on my Instagram and then commissioned me to create an ACDC inspired jacket for her friend as a birthday gift. Amazing sort of brief. I remember her talking to me about it over chat, and then me just sort of brainstorming ideas about what we could do. I remember even just thinking, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this. Perfect. She was very straightforward about what she wanted. It was the album cover to Highway to Hell, but in the style of what I did my Black Sabbath jacket in. So the same sort of tritone, quad-toned design. So that was easy enough, but because the album isn't presented in that sort of style, it was a little bit more of a challenge for me, because for the Black Sabbath jacket I had a picture that I could work off that already had like all of the shadows mapped out for me. But for the Highway to Hell one, I actually had to sort of use my brain a little bit more in regards to trying to figure out where to put the different colors. But in the end I think it turned out really well. We did it on a black vintage style denim jacket with a little bit of a wash, so it was it had a bit of a grey worn out tone to it. It looked really good. The person that it was actually a gift for works at a bar in Melbourne called Heartbreaker. If you're from Melbourne, you'll probably know that this is a little bit of an institute in the bar scene. It's just a very sort of classic, plays off the whole nostalgic traditional rock and roll bar, big neon light, pool tables, people usually dancing on the bar. Like it's a really cool place. So knowing that this jacket that I created was being worn by a person that worked in there was just like the perfect full stop to that project, or just like the perfect cadence to a song. Just yes. And I did also, so with the Black Sabbath jacket, as I said, I didn't really mute down the colors, but I did do it for the ACDC one. The colors work a little more well, because it's not this bright vermilion red. It's sort of, it's muted a little bit. I think it's more of a sort of maroon color. So what have we got? Tame Impala, Black Sabbath, ACDC. On to the next one, which is a Queens of the Stone Age jacket. This was not a commission, this was an original that I decided to just create. My inspiration came from the fact that in 2018 I had organised to go to Europe with one of my dearly beloved friends. One of the main reasons why we were going to Europe was because we booked to see Queens of the Stone Age in Finsbury Park in London, which was the coolest thing ever. I was obviously off my rocker excited about that. So in the lead up to that European trip, which was in June 2018, I had all of these ideas, awesome ideas about what I could potentially create for myself, because this jacket is essentially a symbol of not only my love for art and music, but also me trying to integrate travel into there as well, knowing I was going to a place like London where a lot of the inspiration from that sort of stems from the punk rock, grungy, underground sort of aesthetic that they've got there. So ideally I wanted to create something that I could wear at the concert, but I forgot that it would be summer over there. So I actually didn't end up wearing this there. It was more just sort of a tribute to the trip. And yeah, so essentially with this jacket, I wanted to sort of mash together a lot of references from a lot of the Queens of Stone Age albums. The main sort of image on the back draws inspiration from their most recent album, which was Villains. I really liked the graphic artwork that was released with that, so I decided to do a little bit of a spin-off on that and do Homie, but also the devil, but depicted as a woman, because apparently that's what we are. The guy next to Homie there is Old Mate from the Like Clockwise album cover, the masked Dracula dude. Got a little necklace there that has the sign or the symbol on Songs for the Deaf. On the front of the jacket, on one of the panels on the front of the jacket, I do have the lyrics for Feel Good Hit of the Summer, which represents their Rated R album. And I wanted to put the two light bulbs on the album cover of, is it Era Vulgaris? Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. I wanted to put those two dudes on the shoulders here, so at least I'd have a reference to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their albums. But time was limited. I remember even just painting this like the morning of my flight, trying to get it done. I took this jacket with me obviously, and I took all my paints with me so that when I was overseas I could hopefully do some painting, because I was hanging out with some of my family in Switzerland. But when you're on holiday and you bust out some paint and some work, I don't really want to do that, especially when I'm in amongst the rolling hills of the Burn region, sipping a nice glass of red wine. So no, I didn't put those on, but it's cool because I think the jacket turned out pretty well. Obviously my main concern was just making sure that the guy that was in the middle was Josh Homme. It looked like Josh Homme. I think I got it right. His hair, his lips, his eyes, and sort of like his brow bone there. I think people recognize him. I obviously didn't actually wear it for practical purposes in London because it was like 30 degrees and I got sunburnt in London. Rookie error. I did get some really nice shots of my amazing, beautiful friend Maddie. I got pictures of her wearing it on a rooftop in Notting Hill where we were staying. So that was pretty cool. 6 shots, really awesome. just the perfect circumstance of what I wanted this jacket to be worn, but she took it off straight away because it was hot as. So yeah, that was painted on a, this is probably the first jacket that I've painted on has not been a vintage style. More of a straight sleeve tight fit, really. It was also one of my ex's jackets, actually. I wonder if he knows that. I'm pretty sure he gave it to me and said, do what you want with it. So yeah, that's an original work, and that's on my website if you want to check it out. Awesome. So those are all the jackets for this video, but my latest custom that I did, it was the Linkin Park pants, which were painted on some secondhand Boss jeans. This was a paid custom that I just recently created. The only custom that I've had in the pandemic. Understandably, a lot of my commissions got cancelled because a lot of my stuff does revolve around events and going to music festivals and people just having disposable income in general. So I did create a video on that and documented my process. So if you do want to check that out, I do have the link down below, or otherwise I'll have it up here somewhere. Yeah, I had these jeans. I painted the Hybrid Theory soldier on one of the legs, and then I did a portrait of Chester on the other leg, and then I just sort of zipped that all together with a couple of logos. So yeah. Now we ask the question of what comes next. As I was preparing for this video today, it actually blew my mind when I realized that I haven't even considered doing a jacket inspired or influenced by the Gorillaz. Very much up there with a band that has influenced me musically and visually as a virtual band. I think that's the coolest thing ever. It is one of my dreams to be a part of a project like a virtual band. I think that would be so awesome, considering that I've done training in music production. Now I'm doing visual art stuff, and if I could marry those two together in a more strong way, I could not think of a better project but to do a virtual band. I would happily die if I've done something like that. I would have so much fun with a Gorillaz themed jacket, to the point that I actually might really want to do one. I do have a couple of spare jackets just here that I need to paint on. Maybe that'll be my next one. But yeah, Gorillaz. Otherwise, I've also really leaned towards doing something to do with a glam rock band. So obviously very crazy, out there, visual bands like Kiss or Motley Crue, Steel Panther, something like that. I think painting those in the style of what I did my Black Sabbath and ACDC jacket in would be awesome. Ugh. So many ideas, only 2 hands to paint, and only so much time in one day. God, I wish I didn't have to sleep. That's just what's swimming around in my mind at the moment, but essentially that's it. Those are all of my band jackets / one pair of pants. I hope you liked seeing all of the different bands that I have been able to paint so far, and I would be very interested in painting more. So if you were interested in potentially commissioning your own band jacket, please hit me up. I would be so happy to do it, especially if it's in the realms of what I just said. Thank you very much for listening to me rambling on about all of my musical influences and inspirations. If you'd like to see more of what I do, please follow me on Instagram at Zigentala. Otherwise, you can also check out my website, www.zigentala.com. Otherwise, you can also email me for any questions regarding commissions or prices or originals or just anything in general. Maybe come say hi to me. Ask me how my day is, that'd be great. Now, that's all, and I'll see you later. I'm so excited. Maybe I'm gonna have a martini tonight, or a margarita, or a glass of wine. I'm not sure. It's my weekend.